Hi everyone, I'm Fiona. In this video, I will show you touchscreen video tutorial for 1500 type EPS batch pre-expanding machine to help you more familiar with our machine before operating it. What is auto? Auto means fully automatic, continue working mode, non-stop between each cycle. What is semi-auto? Semi-auto means semi-automatic. It means expanding cycle once, then stop and wait for the menu press the start button on the electric control box before the next expanding cycle. What is the single step? Single step means running the pre-expanding machine step by step. What is one? One means one-time expanding for EPS raw material, normally for density over 10.5 to 11 kg per cubic meter. For experienced technicians, lower density such as 9 kg per cubic meter can also be achieved by one-time expanding. What is two? They have two different types of expanding, 1 and 2. 2 means for secondary expanding for EPS density less than 10.5 kg per cubic meter, such as 5 kg, 8 kg, etc. In this case, we need to change the filling inlet. We will use the EPS beans from the silo system, send it back to the EPS batch pre-expanding steam chamber for secondary expanding to get the lower density. What is time control? Time control means control of EPS bean density by heating time. What is sensor control? They have two types of level sensor. One is time control, one is sensor control. Normally, we choose sensor control to get the better EPS density control than the time control. At the meantime, time control plays another role. It gives a double protection against bursting. What is no wait? Normally use this function when test the EPS batch pre-expanding machine. In the normal production, we do not use this function. It's are independent of the expanding processing. When not wait raw material, fast and slow wait does not work. Press the button to wait. This function only works for the first time expanding, not work for the two-time expanding. What is unextractable? Use this function when testing the machine only. Choose unextractable. It's are independent of the whole expanding processing for the first expanding and secondary expanding. First expanding uses the screw to feed the material from the bottom square filling hopper to the topper temporary storage hopper. For the second expanding, the expanded EPS bean from the upper layer to the down layer of the secondary expanding silo through the motor. What is filling motor twice? It's for the secondary expanding only. the EPS bean is sucked from the silo system to the secondary expanding silo. What is hop filling? Hop filling for secondary expanding only. The flap rotation motor was controlled by time, which controls amount of secondary filling. Does not work for the first expanding. What is filling? Filling for both first and secondary expanding. For the first expanding, filling means from waiting system to steam chamber time. For the secondary expanding, the filling means feed the raw material from the bottom of the secondary silo to the steam chamber. What is filling delay? Filling delay means feed the raw material to steam chamber as complete and clean as possible. What is preheating? Preheating before heating to raise the temperature of the steam chamber for better expanding. What is heating? Heating means open the steam valve, heat the steam chamber. What is heating delay? Normally not use this function. Based on the actual working condition and the different raw material characteristics and different density. The purpose of this function is to make the EPS bean more uniform and even. For example, if the EPS raw material density is little bit heavy, add extra filling delay time to solve the density issue. If the EPS density is stable, it's not necessary to do anything with this filling delay. What is warming? Warming has same function as the filling delay. Normally not use. Use warming to slight adjust the EPS bean to the ideal condition. What is the vent time? Vent time has same function as filling delay and warming. Normally not use. Use this function to adjust the state of the EPS raw material to the ideal condition. Usually it's for the experienced operator. What is the stabilize? Stabilize means after reduce the pressure inside of the steam chamber. Keep the EPS bean in the steam chamber for a few seconds. It has the same function as the filling delay, warming, and vent time. Generally not use this function. For the experienced operator, it can adjust the EPS bean to the ideal state. Open chamber clean valve in stabilizing. The purpose is to cool down the steam chamber by sending the compressor air into the steam chamber for a few seconds and close it for a few seconds. What is the closed chamber clean valve in stabilizing? The purpose is to cool down the steam chamber by sending compressor air into the steam chamber for a few seconds and close it for a few seconds. What is discharge? Discharge means discharge time. The time to open the discharge door is determined by the actual volume of EPS raw material in the steam chamber. For example, for light density EPS raw material, the discharge time is longer. What is the waiting time? Waiting time is to prevent the EPS raw material discharge from the steam chamber is quicker than the EPS raw material from the bed dry to silo. The difference between discharge time and waiting time Discharge time. During discharge, the fan keeps blowing when the raw material is being discharged. But during the waiting time, the blow does not send air to the steam chamber, and the steam chamber does not become cold too quickly to save the steam energy. What is the total weight? This is our experience value. Normally we calculate like this: volume of the steam chamber multiply 0.75 multiply 0.75 multiply EPS density. Then you will get the total weight. What is waiting fast? This is our experience data only. For example, the total weight is 22 kg. Normally, waiting fast is like 20 kg and waiting slow is like 2 kg. What is the closed view window valve in heating? Generally blow for 1 second when heat for the 4 to 5 seconds to preventing clumping. What is delay time of filling hopper twice? Generally not use this function. What is agitation motor? Agitation motor, as known as main axis motor. It connects with the main axis in the middle of the steam chamber. What is air blower? It has two functions. Function 1. The air blows the fresh air into the steam chamber to discharge the expanded EPS raw material to the bed dry. Function 2. Use it to feed the raw material. During the second expanding, the air blow generates the vacuum in the steam chamber to feed the EPS beam from the secondary expanding silo to the steam chamber. What is rotation motor twice? Rotation motor twice only for the secondary expanding feeding. The rotation motor flap controlled by time. What is the drying motor? Drying motor installed in the bed dry. It needs to connect the steam to take away the water or moisture away from the surface of the EPS beam before sending it to the silo for aging. What is discharge blower? Discharge blower is a blow that is blow the EPS raw material from the bed dry to the silo for aging. What is delumping motor? Delumping motor, as known as crush motor, crush of lumpy EPS beam in the bed dry into separate EPS beam. What is the vibrator motor? Vibrator motor is to vibration the filter screen to separate the lumped EPS raw material. This motor shared with the same delumping motor. What is the filling motor? Filling motor installed in the open squared container on the ground. Feed of the bottom EPS raw material to the top temporary storage hopper by screw. What is the steam valve? Steam valve is our angle valve for steam. Open this valve to heat the steam chamber. What is the vent valve? Vent valve installed in the top of the steam chamber for steam exhaust. You can set the maximum pressure for the steam chamber. When the real pressure inside of the steam chamber exceeds, the vent valve will open for steam exhaust automatically. What is the discharge door valve? Discharge door valve open to discharge the EPS raw material. What is the view window clean? It's our interval clean by time setting to control the clean frequency. What is discharge door clean? The area around the discharge door is cleaned with compressor air. so that the EPS raw material does not stick to the discharge door. What is the chamber clean? Before we talk about chamber clean, let's talk about asterisk icon. The valve remark with the asterisk icon is always open. Chamber clean valve is a valve keep open all the time. For example, when the power is off during the normal production, this chamber clean valve will automatically open and compressor air is blown into the steam chamber to preventing bursting. What is the drainage valve? After finish each cycle, drainage valve will open to drainage the steam chamber automatically for both steam and air. What is the filling motor twice? Filling motor twice for the secondary expanding only. Suck the EPS raw material from the silo system to the secondary expanding silo. What is feeding valve? Feeding valve for the secondary expanding only. Feed the EPS bean from the secondary expanding silo to the steam chamber of pre-expander. What is air valve 1? Air valve 1 for secondary expanding only. It total has 2 valves. It can generate the negative pressure in the steam chamber to feed the EPS raw material in the secondary expanding silo to the pre-expanding machine. It does not work for the first expanding function. What is air valve 2? Air valve 2 total has 2 valves. Work during the discharge work step. Blow air into the steam chamber to discharge the EPS raw material to the bed dry. What is fault alarm? Alarm light flash when the alarm is activated. What is waiting fast? They have 2 holes in the topper temporary hopper, big hole and small hole. Waiting fast means open the valve for the big hole to fast feeding the EPS raw material to the waiting system to approach the waiting value. What is the waiting slow? They have 2 holes in the topper temporary hopper, big hole and small hole. Waiting slow means open the small hole to slow feeding the raw material to the waiting system to get the final and accurate waiting value. What is up discharge valve? Up discharge valve is a valve between waiting system and down discharge valve for over storage of weighted EPS raw material. What is down discharge valve? Down discharge valve is a valve connect with the steam chamber for first expanding raw material inlet.